Hi, I'm Randy Robison. Welcome to Life Today, the special digital edition. I am here with an Olympic champion, a New York Times bestseller, cancer survivor, father, husband, Scott Hamilton. And good to have you.
Oh, great. Hey, this is awesome.
So you know how the publicist gives us this little list of all these things you are? Right?
You forgot warm and wonderful human
Warm and
being.
wonderful, yeah, so anything else. But I noticed something that was on there that I liked. I was like, boy, if people would describe me that way, I'd be flattered. That'd be great. Optimist.
No, 100%.
Why are you an optimist?
Well, it's just, when you when you live my life, you can't help but be an optimist. You fall down a bunch and you get up a bunch and you realize that the fall wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. And the failure wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. And, I've fallen down 5 times in front of 17,000 people to come in dead last in a competition. There is no probably greater failure than that, except for not making it, which I did the year before that. So, I've survived cancer. There's things, it's just all the failures and then what comes next. It's like, oh man, you build that muscle in your psyche and you know that whatever you're going through now is finite. And if it takes you, that's a whole nother journey, another adventure you're going to go on. But, generally right now in this life, I've learned to be optimistic because I haven't let the failures and the defeats define me and hold me back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. But here's the hard part, I think, because it's one thing to say that, when you're skating, when you're competing, which is great, which has got to be difficult. I'm not downplaying that. But when you're facing brain tumors, that's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. I mean, it is. I mean, the first one was like, what? The medic, it's like I always joke that I'm a short, bald, half-neutered, chemoed, radiated, surgically repaired, retired male figure skater of unknown ethnic origin, right? Who has a unique hobby of collecting life-threatening illnesses. So it's always been a part of my life. The whole medical part of it's always been part of my life. From the time I was 4 until I was 8, I lived in hospitals because there was something wrong with me and they couldn't figure it out. So I was kind of used to that. And then I started skating and all those symptoms just sort of ebbed away. They just sort of went away. And then I had this whole run, and then I got to the 13th year of my professional career, and I have testicular cancer. And I was, I went through the fear of that was just unbelievable because I lost my mother to cancer almost 20 years to the day that I was diagnosed. And it was like, oh, is that going to be me? Am I going to? And then I realized that in that diagnosis and in the processing of that all of a sudden that fear just flipped into a sense of mission and battle and courage and clarity. And it was like, I've got something in front of me. I just got to do everything I can to put it behind me so I can get back to my life. What I didn't understand was in a really specific way, God allowed that to happen because he knew that it would redirect me and it would ultimately put me right at his feet. So the cancer was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me, without question. And then the brain tumor comes and it's like, what? No, come on. I paid my dues. Right. I did all that. Right. I have a young family, it's like, oof, okay, I got to deal with this. And that was it. When I told my wife, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. When I told my wife, I looked her square in the face and I said, I have a brain tumor. She did not even hesitate. She grabbed both of my hands. She put her head down. She started to pray. And it was powerful. I have had a lot of great moments in my life. There's nothing more powerful than that moment. It's just realizing that, of course, where do you go when you're at risk, when you're hurting, when you've been knocked down? Where else do you go? You take it straight to the Lord. And it was a really powerful week of trying to diagnose this thing. But when the diagnosis came, it was, this is what caused you to have all those issues when you were younger. You were born with this brain tumor.
Really?
And for all those years that I skated, it stopped doing its mischief. And then when I stopped skating, by the end of that summer, I was symptomatic. I had no testosterone. All my metabolics, that was just whack. And so what they did was they treated it with gamma knife radiation, nuked it.
Yeah.
And then I I don't really have normal pituitary function, so I don't have really normal hormonal function. So I'm replacing all that.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, the brain tumor came back. Surgery, the first surgery turned into like 9 more. And then got rid of it. And then 6 years later, it's back. And this time, I just felt the Lord telling me something else, just to get strong and to wait on Him. And this journey has been beyond miraculous. It's the same brain tumor. The way these things work is they grow in the optic chiasm into optic nerves and pituitary glands and all these other things that create like total like chaos in the way that your body functions. And you're a sight, I could go blind.
Yeah. This
time it decided to shrink without treatment. And
but you were doing something.
I changed my water. I went on a sugar fast. I do essential oils. I do a lot of things. I pray, constant prayer, constant. I do everything I can, and for whatever reason, the tumor is shrinking, and there's no one I've spoken to in the medical community that's ever seen that happen before.
So you baffled the doctors on this one.
Yeah. The first doctor that told me, I said, "Can you explain it?" And he said, "God."
Really? Which for a doctor, a lot of them, it's their last resort of explanation.
Well, yeah, they're
right?
scientists. They're steeped in science.
Right,
but occasionally you find one that truly understands the miraculous nature of our Lord and Savior. And so the last 2 scans have been miraculous. First, February 11th of last year, it shrank. And then second week of December this year, it shrank a little bit more. So I don't know, again, we don't know why, we don't know how, we don't know a lot of things. All I know is that I'm going to continue to put my faith in the Lord, and however He sees this thing through, I'll be obedient till the end.
So having that hanging over your head, figuratively,
Hanging
growing in
head.
your head, right, or literally, do you battle fear, or does that just cause you to stay close to God in a healthy way? I mean, what's kind of the...
It's fun. It's been funny. He's really seen me through this on many different levels. It's when it came back, it was the first time in 2010, I just felt like I got kicked in the stomach. And it was kind of like, I don't know if it's a product of that, but the surgery, things can happen, and like 7% of patients, things can, like nicking arteries and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. But the next time it came, this last time, it was more a sense of peace. It was get strong. And so I just did everything I could to get strong. I don't know. I mean, for whatever reason, this one just, the Lord just decided that it's not going to grow.
Yeah. Well, hey,
I'm on my knees.
Yeah.
How do you process that?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I'll tell you one thing we can do is anybody who's a believer who's watching this, pray for Scott. Stop right now, say a quick prayer. So pray the Lord would just keep him on this path of shrinking the tumor and health, and so you can continue to bless others. I want to talk about your book real quick.
Yeah.
Because you got a new book out called Finish First.
Yeah.
And this is about competition.
Basically, it's about being your best self. It's about taking your skills, your callings, your identities, your whatever they are, whatever you have, whatever you want. And it gives you, a really strong argument for and the principles that, most people use to be successful. It lays it all out. So it's like, I've always wanted to, but that's not me. Or I really feel like I have these skills, but I don't know, I should be doing this. It really is, we've been given these abilities and whatever they are, whatever our identity is, we're to take that as far as we possibly can. And there's so many obstacles in the way of failure and critics and, distractions and friends and, weaknesses and all these different things that can pull us off our path. But this book is meant to really encourage. It's meant to say, we all have that we want that, to feel that wonderful feelings of victory, that we've achieved something, that we've done something truly special in our lives. And we all want that recognition in school, from the very kindergarten when we get called on, it's like, it's like all the way through. It's like, getting a raise or getting any kind of recognition or whatever. Our lives are basically set up like a competition. We're in competition with ourselves. We're in competition with people around us. And competition's not a bad thing. It's meant to give us feedback. It's meant to invigorate us. It's meant to inspire us. It's meant to, keep us moving forward to be our best selves. And once you get to that victory, that first big victory, oh my goodness, you realize that there's like 4 more right in front of you. And all those victories are made up of 1,000 small victories, and each big one elevates you to where it changes your life and it changes everything about you.
Yeah.
So that's where the winning changes everything comes from, because, man, once you really make that decision, it's like, I want to do this. And that can be anything. It can be losing weight. It can be being healthier. It can be getting a raise or getting an A in school where you couldn't before, or pursuing a path like I've always wanted to learn an instrument, or I've always, I'm retired and what's my identity? Well, I never did this that I always wanted to do. Do it now, and here's how, and here's why. It's amazing that in writing this, and I look back on it now, and it's like, I said that? I wrote that? I did.
Well, you've lived it.
I've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of doing what we all should do as friends and as loved ones and as people that share this existence, is we need to encourage each other, and we need to lift each other up, and we need to show people the way. And I'm the last one that ever should have the things that have happened in my life. It's like if I walk into a room and you put me with a lot of other people, I go, who's the Olympic gold medalist? I guarantee you that no one would pick me, because I was always the last one chosen in sports in grade school. I was always the sickest one, the smallest one. And my parents didn't have a lot of money. I didn't grow up in a place with great training or anything else. And it was just one of those things where, through a lot of failure, I did the math. In my skating life, I fell 41,600 times. No, in all of my failures and all of everything, I found a way to kind of get up each time and to don't do that, do this. This worked, that didn't. This feels like the right place. Oh, maybe not. I'll go over here. And it's this constant, recalibration. It's this constant looking at your life as a possibility. And when you get to the end of that first big victory, you realize that it wasn't as hard as you thought it was, especially if you're able to process failure and critics. Mm-hmm. I mean, naysayers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If David listened to the naysayers, he never would have slain Goliath.
Right.
And, when you look back on that, Goliath never had a chance. And that's how our lives can be. Great
words of encouragement. I encourage you to get Finish First. Is there a website you'd like to promote?
It's available everywhere. Any one of your book sellers, you can buy it through my website, scotthamilton.com, or Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, anyone. It's available everywhere. Pick it up. Read it. Give it to your kids. Give it to other people need encouragement. I really feel strongly that this is one of the most important things I've ever done.
Check it out. Check it out now. And you can see more from Scott Hamilton when he's on Life Today on the broadcast show. That is available at lifetoday.org. Thank you for watching and sharing this interview. Be sure to check out the social media for Life Today Television, and you can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you haven't already subscribed or followed this channel, do it now so you can see more of our great guests.